This is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the president of United Peace, Inc. I'm also the host of the Bradley Report, and a lot of my friends know me as the Urban Translator. But I want to make it plain because I got a lot to say this evening. This show is possible because of the chairman of United Peace, Inc. Okay? She helped me find the issues, she helped me get the guests, and I'm blessed that she also, by the grace of God, allowed me to be her husband, none other than my wife, Terry Marsh. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. There's a lot of things that's happening in the city of Chicago this past week, a lot of news. As of before I came into the studio, it was brought to my attention that Senate President Cullerton was indicted because of the things that this guy, that the governor calls, the governor calls the ex-Teamster boss a bad apple. I'm talking about ex-Teamster leader John Coley. He was the one that shook down the Chicago movie studio for $325,000. And as you know, Governor Pritzker has signed a bill giving the movie industry a tax credit going to 2026. And a lot of people felt like, was that a bad thing given the movie company or the studio a tax extension when because he was being extorted by this former, I think he was the president of the Teamsters Union. But Cullerton got indicted because of receiving funds from this guy, ex-Teamster leader John Coley pleaded guilty Tuesday to taking part in a scheme to shake down a Chicago film studio. He pleaded guilty and also let it be known on the record from what I'm reading that he's cooperating on other federal indictments. And I guess what happened with the Senate president is because of the things that he allegedly did with the Teamster president. Something else that getting our attention is the Chicago Sun-Times ex-Water Department employees are saying it's time for a house clean. They're saying that when Rahm Emanuel fired his friend that used to be the commissioner for the water district, he hired an African-American male, a good guy, by the name of Randy Connors. Okay? When the former mayor hired Randy to come and help clean up the mess of racism, the guys was against gays and lesbians, was against the women. They was real bogus. And the mayor was trying to let the city of Chicago know that he meant business. So he brought on a great guy, Randy Connors, an African American, replaced Murphy. The guy's name was Barrett Murphy. And the mayor fired Barrett Murphy, and his top deputies and supervisors. Then he reached out because the things that was done to the African American employees. So he reached out and he talked to the Black Caucus to help get rid of a bad seed. And he reached and grabbed a great guy to help him, put him in the supervisory position, made him the commissioner. 2 years later, the attorney that filed the suit, Victor Henderson, a friend of mine, I know Randy, I know some of the people that's filing the suit. I'm of the opinion that one can't say that all this weight falls on Randy Connors. Okay? Can't fall on him. Because it was already a mess before the former mayor brought him to help fix the situation. But understand this, he only had a position. He still had to take orders from the mayor. Now, we all saying, Randy, you going in, you see the things are still happening, and you getting rid of them, the supervisors and the deputy this, you laying down the structure, because I've sat in those committee meetings. See, the name of the game is, if you don't go, you won't know. But I go to them meetings, and I sit in those meetings, and I get up and I say something in the meeting, so it's a matter of record. So, Victor Henderson, you got a right to represent your clients. It's just my opinion. I understand what you're doing legally. You want to get them documents, okay? And I understand from what I'm reading in the paper, this ain't a quote from me. This is where you says, Randy, don't say this. This is what Victor Henderson says. Stop fighting the FOIA request. Let the truth come out. Shine the light. Because he knew that Lori Lightfoot was running on that, saying, here comes the light. They said, Lightfoot played on her name with a campaign promise to bring in the light. So Mayor Lightfoot, this was done not under your administration. This was done under Rob's administration. And I agree with your campaign slogan about bringing in the light to get rid of things that you inherited that was wrong. So I believe you should have your administration give that information to Victor Henderson. This is something that you inherited. This ain't something that you created. Randy didn't create this. So I hope you stand with Randy. Don't throw him up under the bus. Work with him, because he'll hold the flashlight so the light can be shown on what's wrong, because he has a new mayor that's sincere about eradicating the wrong things within the city of Chicago. So therefore, he's an asset to help you to become the mayor that I and others expect you to be. Like I tell everyone, I got a vested interest in seeing that everything is right within the city. Even though during the campaign I was with someone else. But the fact of the matter is this, she is the mayor. And it's incumbent on all of us to aid and assist this mayor to be one of the greatest mayors in the city of Chicago. And it starts with being fair to everyone. So stand firm with Randy. Because if you true, you giving him the chance to get rid of those individuals that's wrong. This is an opportunity for all of us. And all the people that know what's happening, stand up and tell it. And man, if you want to save taxpayers' dollars, don't waste time taking this to court. Settle it. Because you got other things to do with the windfall that you just got from the TIF. And while you're at it, check on your law department, because I put in a FOIA asking for information about how much money the city has paid lawyers that the law department hired to defend a suit against the city for wrongful conviction of Mark Maxson. Someone else DNA was discovered in the trial because that person that really killed the baby, that Burgess officers tortured Mark Maxson to say that he did it, they found out that the person that did the killing was involved in another murder, and his DNA was on file. And it comes out that when the guy got caught, because he was supposed to register, and he didn't register, so he was in violation. Once he got caught, he gave a tape confession to the crime. He wrote letters to the victim's parents and wrote a letter to Mark Maxson saying that he was sorry for the suffering that he caused them. And it's a matter of public record. It was all in the news media. He got released. He got a certificate of innocence. So I'm just saying, Lori, look in to your Department of Law, and I bet they have spent millions of dollars defending the case that they can't win. And if the individual decide he gonna take a plea deal for 50 years or 60 years or however many years, when that case go to court, it's gonna cost the city more money. So stand with Randy. If you didn't feel that you could stand with him, Mayor Lori, you wouldn't have kept him there. Caller, I see you. State your name.
Yeah, James.
Hey, what's up, James?
It seems like everything is backfiring. It's just like that governor of Puerto Rico. Everybody want him out and resign. And Michael, that guy named Kevin Grant, he should resign. And he on his way out.
Yeah.
Just like the government, just like that guy you talked about a few minutes ago. He on his way out, and a lot of some of the other leaders on his way out. And I think Donald Trump is on their way out because it's a higher power who want them out. That is God.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
You're right.
Yeah, it
Have a
is.
nice weekend.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You know, I'm glad you brought that out. Cause one thing for sure, you told the truth on that one. This that we seeing, and one of the things I want to share. We all speak about change. We got to have change. But it seems like the more we get change, the more we realize that some things remain the same. That's why I brought that out about the water department employees crying. I was in the meeting. And now, since the mayor has brought on the new, her name is Susan Lee. Susan Lee is the new deputy mayor of public safety. They got a good program that's out there, and I see where the mayor has been listening to the community. I see where the mayor has been listening to the community and they're giving their input. I want to say, I want to get a shout out to Brother Jamal Green. He's been all over the city listening, and the mayor has been showing up at different little town hall meetings that the community are calling. And the city targets drug abuse to help stop violence in the West Garfield Park. They picked this community, and it's a part that the community knows as the Pulaski Corridor. It retained the dubious record of the highest number of drug overdoses citywide, mostly heroin, that's been laced with a chemical that's more deadly than heroin. And it's in the 11th district on the west side, the Harrison district. So what they did, they brought in extra police, city services, drug addiction help. All were part of the city's new Keeping Our Community Safe initiative. Okay? It's called Keeping Our Community Safe initiative that was launched Sunday on the west side. They're going to be doing that in a lot of communities throughout the city of Chicago. It goes to something I've been saying all the time. It takes all of us. Okay? Police, the community, bringing in those resources and everything else to help make it work. And I want to say hooray, hooray, hooray for this initiative. I want to say for the west side in that community, I pray that you take advantage of what's happening because you have a lot to say in what's happening in that community. And I'm saying to the law enforcement, after they leave from this community, don't just allow the people to come back and do the same thing in that community. I think that with everyone working together, once you move somewhere and get something right, those in the community, including the brothers from the various street organizations that really don't want to be engaged in the crime, they should be able to get jobs and training to help with the initiative. It say they got community policing officers went door to door asking residents what the community needs and informing them of help that will be available this week. The street outreach organizations offer gang members. Wonderful thing. To God be the glory. The street outreach organizations offer the gang members and those with justice system involvement the hard to come by help to leave that life behind. That's a good plus. Mayor Laurie, hooray, hooray, hooray. Jamal Green, hooray, hooray, hooray. Tio, the other brothers and sisters in that community that's giving their input, even if they don't agree with you, don't mean they're not listening to you. So, I'm appealing to the mayor, to the county board president, to the governor, to come and help bring resources together to help pay for this, even if they got to reach all the way to Washington. to ask the president to give up those funds to help with this public safety initiative, not just in the city of Chicago. That's why I made mention of the county board president, so that all the other townships and all the other cities within Cook County can get these benefits. And then it can work to all the other counties with the governor's help, reaching out to the president. It can work. They're showing that it can work. Fox backers say she's on the right track. Hooray, hooray, hooray for Kim Foxx. We, as a people, those in Cook County, that made the decision and spent their political capital to elect Kim Foxx to be state's attorney, I ask you to remain with Kim Foxx and help her get reelected in 2020. There's a movement being led by the Fraternal Order of Police and a racist element to get rid of Kim Foxx, because her and Tony Prattwinkle, Judge Evans, and Sheriff Dart has created criminal justice reform within the county of Cook. Okay? Fox backers say she's on the right track. I'll show you the articles and let you know that it ain't my opinion. I'm just reading what I see and things that I know I share with my viewing audience. It says, supporters of Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx says she's doing a great job and have the numbers to prove it as politicians line up to unseat her in 2020. And the union representing Chicago police officers says it doesn't trust her. The Fraternal Order of Police don't trust Kim Foxx. And they say this. This ain't Gator just saying this. They wrote this in a letter to her. They've had press conferences and protest in front of the state's attorney's office. And they say they want to get rid of Kim Foxx because she freeing individuals who were locked up and indicted based on evidence from police officers that engaged in police misconduct, framing individuals. It's not a conspiracy. The officers that did these things has been found guilty in a federal court and went to the penitentiary because of those actions. The talk on the streets is that Kim Foxx has freed more African Americans than Abraham Lincoln. And I laugh and I say, well, I never read that Abraham Lincoln was a state's attorney. But hey, suffice to say, that's what they're saying is happening in the county of Cook within the state of Illinois. A few weeks ago, the Chief Judge, Martin, says that Kim Foxx have a right, because of the integrity that she brought to the state's attorney's office, and I'm paraphrasing, that she had no conflict in adjudicate, if that's the correct word, or making a decision in the John Burge cases because of misconduct of those officers that had a track record of torturing individuals. So he's going to make determination which cases the special prosecutor should have because of the Burge cases. Because the special prosecutor can only handle Burge cases because they were civic cases, post-conviction cases. And the state's attorney is supposed to have the right to prosecute criminal cases. Because he said Kim Foxx doesn't have a conflict of interest like the other state's attorney's office, like Daley when he was the state's attorney, like Devine when he was the state's attorney, like Anita Alvarez when she was the state's attorney. So for the backers, the people that's backing Kim Foxx, I want to say hooray, hooray, hooray. Standing outside her office in 69 West Washington, the site of a Fraternal Order Police anti-Fox rally in April of this year. I believe it was April 1st. If I wouldn't have been out there and I heard about it, I thought it was an April Fool's joke for the police department, members of the police department, to have a rally that included white supremacist individuals. And one of the guys, the young guy, Jamal Green, asked the question, how do you feel about Laquan McDonald? And one of the guys said he should have been shot 18 times instead of 16 times. Then the young man asked the individual, what did you say? He said, ask me the question again. So the young man asked the question again, and the man said he should have been shot 20 times. Now, when you see the president of Fraternal Order Police, the National Fraternal Order Police, the same guy that Trump is considering to make the director of the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, says that Mayor Lori Lightfoot needs to apologize for calling a member of the Fraternal Order of Police, I think he was the vice president or whatever it is, a clown. He wants an apology. Chicago Fraternal Order of Police want an apology. But they have yet to say to the city of Chicago that those police officers that engaged in police misconduct, police brutality, torture by police officers, murder by police officers, they have yet to apologize and say to the city of Chicago that those individuals that engaged in that attitude or that conduct were bad apples, and we apologize for what they done. They feel like Van Dyke shouldn't have been tried, shouldn't have been arrested, shouldn't have been prosecuted, shouldn't have been found guilty, shouldn't be in the penitentiary doing time. That guy came to the city council and got up and said it was wrong for the police board to fire those officers that lied and was trying to cover up the murder of Laquan McDonald. You hear what I'm saying? They saying there's nothing wrong with it. So to see that the mayor is doing something with the Chicago police and the community, I'm glad that she brought in Susan Lee. I'm glad that she's listening to the World Business Council or the World Business Committee because they have a vested interest. And I pray that they use their resources to help this mayor. I pray that they use their resources to help the county board president. I pray that they use their resources to help the governor of the state of Illinois. Because this can work. And on another piece, the people in the city of Chicago are saying that senseless shootings and killings of anyone is wrong. Senseless violence is wrong. A lot of them are feeling that the shooting of these two women, two mothers, were accidental victims, not targeted, says the superintendent. The people that's a part of the organization that these two women were members of. It says the founder of an anti-violence group, which lost two members in a drive-by shooting on last Friday, believes her group is being targeted. Tamar was responding to Chicago Police Superintendent Johnson, who said Tuesday morning that two mothers gunned down while occupying a South Side corner were not the people the shooters were after. Tamar accused Johnson of using the notion of gang-related violence to minimize the deaths. You are saying this has nothing to do with mothers, but mothers keep getting shot. It would be foolish if I didn't look at this like a message to our group. If anyone is saying I shouldn't look at this like a message, they are disingenuous. You know, the thing that's so wild about this is that now you have 7 children that don't have mothers. One of the women had 3 children, the other one had 4 children. So you got 7 children that's traumatized. Ain't gonna grow up, and that pain gonna be in them. And they may lead a situation where they may want to get even. All I want to say that everybody got to come together. Superintendent Johnson says, we can't let individuals that don't have the morals that we have hold us hostage. We cannot do that. We have to keep fighting this fight, a unified fight. The police department, the residents, the business owners, the clergy, the elected officials, we all have a role to play. I agree with it. So I want to say to Superintendent Johnson, hooray, hooray, hooray. I want to say to Mayor Lightfoot, who says, if we let people who don't care about a sense of community, about civility, about the consequences of gun violence, push us into the shadows and push us into our homes for fear of what will happen, we're never going to get ahead of this tide. The police department cannot fight this fight alone. I agree with Mayor Lightfoot. President Tony Prattwinkle has said we all got to come together cohesively to work together to make it happen. I agree with President Tony Prattwinkle. Now that we all saying the same thing, let's make it happen. The community got to aid and assist to help eradicate that madness that's in that community, and I believe it's going to happen. I believe the individuals are going to get caught. The community is going to see to them getting caught. And I know the fathers. I don't know them personally. But I know they hurt. I know they hurting. I know the men that's in the communities around this city are saying we got to become a part of the solution. And the superintendent of police, the mayor, the county board president, and the governor got to allow them to be a part of the solution. Be a part of the solution. We don't need no vigilante uprising. We need more prayer. We need the eradication of knowing whoever did this have to turn itself in, because the tide has to turn. Because everyone is talking about it. The steppers, the line dancers, the skaters, the house heads, the children, the barbershop, the beauty salon, the bars, on the bus, on the L. They feel like this was a terrorist act. And I believe law enforcement or legislative bodies are going to set laws and precedents to make acts of violence against individuals that's out there for peace, as if they were police officers being shot or elected officials being shot or judges being shot. When the ATF officer got shot, they went through that community like a buzzsaw, knocked on every door. I know God got a plan and got an agenda. And it's just my opinion. I hate that this may have been something that happened to make us all take a chill factor and look and say, wow. These mothers were just sitting on a corner to make sure that things were safe for the children in the community, including theirs. I think they've been doing it for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a wonderful thing. So I ain't going to stay on that too long. But we all know what we got to do as a people. If it would have happened in any other community would have came together. It's in our community. It's upon us to do the same thing that everybody else do. Well, Willie says he's mad. That's what I read. He say the mayor won't take his calls. I ain't what I said, that's what I read. I'm just sharing it with you. But I believe the mayor's listening to everyone, including Willie. I feel she's gonna get back at him. I feel she's gonna call him and say, okay, if she texting you, she gonna call you. Because there's so much that's happening within our city. I'm starting a challenge to eradicate negative energy. I believe everything is possible through God. So one thing for sure, by Willie doing what he doing, or what he did, he's having dialogue with Lori, whether he had to do it through the media, or do it through the phone, or do it through Facebook. I'm of the opinion that they may be talking right now. So with that, I want to say this. This election that's coming up in 2020 is very important. There's judicial elections. I want to say, me personally, I like Nate House for the Supreme Court. I like Appellate Court Justice Mike Hyman for the Appellate Court. And people, you have 2 votes, but I think you may have 3 now, because one of the Appellate Court Justices, Miss Mason, she had resigned, or she left the bench, so they just appointed someone else, so her seat is now open. So there's 3 seats that's open. I'm saying let one of those seats be for Justice Michael Hyman for the Appellate Court. You say, Gator, why do you say this about Mike Hyman? Because in the year 2008, the same year Barack Obama was running for president and got elected, the Sun-Times put me on the front cover of their newspaper. I never forget. I come out the house, and I'm about to catch the bus to go downtown, and there was a Sun-Times newspaper box or whatever it is. I put my little 4 quarters in there, and I grabbed that. And I was in 3 stories in that newspaper that day, because Judge Hyman hired me to help him get elected judge. And they said that a Jewish guy shouldn't be elected judge in Cook County. And he hired me to be his urban translator. Judge Pincham was real ill. He was in Northwestern Hospital. He talked to John Davis, hired John Davis, arranged a press conference at City Hall. And he came to the press conference in a wheelchair. And he stood up and he said, Mike Hyman has the right to hire Gator to help him run to become a judge in Cook County. And we beat that assistant state's attorney by 64,000 votes because of the people of Cook County. They said it's right to have a right judge on the bench. Then he got appointed to the appellate court. There was a case in the Tribune where the decision that Justice Hyman made, along with Paczynski, appellate court judge Paczynski, against Mason, was the dissent in that decision. And it was about police officers not having the right to hold an individual when they didn't get a warrant to have him arrested. We'll talk about that next week. Justice denied anyone is an injustice to everyone. Pay attention to these judicial elections. I believe that Deidre Bowman will be a wonderful circuit court judge. We need right judges now, because there's an assault on criminal justice reform. And when you see the O'Brien fashion, it was a O'Brien that took the Smollett thing to court. And then here come a guy that used to be a judge, a Democratic judge, that say now he's a Republican and he's going to run against Kim Foxx, and his name is O'Brien. And then here you see Brother Boykin saying he considering about running against Kim Foxx. Get me wrong. They all got a right to run. But people of the county of Cook, if you want the state's attorney to go back to the way that it was and deal with the cover-up of people like the Fraternal Order Police, we gonna have a real problem. You, the people of the county of Cook, made a decision to elect Kim Foxx to bring integrity to the state's attorney's office. That's what she's done. And I want to say hooray, hooray to the voters of Cook County that came out and elected Kim Foxx. And I pray that we come out and do it again. On that, I want to say, love your babies, hug your babies. Black men and women, stand up. And I want to say, I send my condolences to all the victims who were murdered because of senseless violence. And I continue to pray to God. Before I get to praying, I want to send my condolences to the families of those who were murdered because of senseless violence. I want to pray to God that He watch over those who were wounded because of senseless shootings and continue to cover the babies. And to God be the glory. Thank you.